Well, Mr. Trump is a friend of yours.
Yes.
I think you would, I know him casually. I've never seen from the man in my meetings with him any trace of racism,
No.
any trace of malice.
So what do you make of his campaign, which has traces of racism and traces of malice?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he's obviously playing some sort of character, you know.
He's got a part here. The part is he's running for president.
Yes, exactly. And so I don't know whether to be afraid or not, you know what I mean? I think, personally, our democracy is bulletproof to any sort of any chance at fascism, and I don't think Donald Trump even is going that way. But if people are afraid of that, I think our democracy denies that.
Trump is so bad at lying, he lets the public immediately know he lied. If Trump ever had to take a lie detector test, he'd probably just draw the crazy lines himself. I did not collude with Russia.
Since he announced his candidacy, Donald Trump has been fodder for late-night hosts, and throughout his presidency, they found new material in his policy and speeches and all those tweets. Riffing off Trump has become a ratings bonanza, and some are hitting the president pretty hard, infusing their satire with objection and analysis. But is there comedy in today's politics? Joining me now from Santa Monica, California, Norm Macdonald. Now, full disclosure, we've shared many off-camera laughs. He's my brother-in-law. So, hello, Norm. Welcome to Question Period.
Oh, it's great to be here, Joyce, and it's kind of unreal that you're hosting Question Period.
You met Donald Trump when he was on The Tonight Show on Jimmy Fallon's show. Now, tell us about that encounter you had with Donald Trump.
Well, I'd met Donald Trump many, many times in New York City, just because when I was doing Saturday Night Live, he was a fixture in New York City, and he'd come to a lot of the shows, and he was just a local eccentric, you know, that people mostly loved in New York because he fixed the rink in Central Park when the city couldn't. But no, when I was on Jimmy Fallon, that's when Jimmy Fallon tousled his hair and got in trouble for it, and I was the other guest. So I was just out in the hallway, and I said, Donald, can I have a picture? You could call him Donald then. I guess you can still call him Donald. We don't have to call him President, apparently. But I said, could I get a picture with you? And he said, yeah, absolutely, sure, Norm. And then he walked down the hall and got in the elevator with his Secret Service guys. So, but he was just doing it as a joke. A lot of times, the problem with candidates that, or political candidates that do comedy is obviously comedy doesn't translate well to the page sometimes, you know. Sarcasm is lost, obviously, and things like that. So if someone says something that's meant self-disparagingly or satirically, and you want to take it out of context, you can. And that happened a lot of times with Trump on the campaign trail.
Where is the funny in Donald Trump? Because he does think he's funny, right?
Yes, but other people think he's funny too. I attended one of his just to see, you know, because I wanted to see it for myself. His performances in front of these grand halls, and he's enormously funny and entertaining.
I don't know what's going to happen 3 weeks from now. It's going to be very interesting. It just started. It's actually, isn't it sort of exciting, right? It really, isn't it just exciting what's going on? It's a process. It's a rough process too. Not so pretty, and yet sometimes very beautiful. But the press is reporting the Democrats are starting to panic. They're panicking. They are panicking because, you know, the votes that are coming in very, very strong a certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. And I actually said, do you mind if I do that? He said, no, you got to do what you got to do. He's a pro. He's a professional. No, he's a good man, actually. I hate to say it. Don't ever use it against me, please. They'll say, this dinner was really setting me back when I say that. But I've known him a long time. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. They told me the last time I did this, I was running against crooked Hillary. Hillary. No, I was running against crooked Hillary and I did it. And I thought it was a roast. So I was told it's a roast. And I had the meanest guy you've ever seen write stuff up. And man, was the room angry. Even the Cardinal remembers. I went overboard. Don't you agree, Cardinal? It was like terrible. And I knew I was in trouble around midway through because, people had not, even my own side was angry at me. They were saying, it's too much. But I did it anyway. I didn't give it.
Normally, with politicians, it takes, you need to be humble, to be really funny. And I think that's why Ronald Reagan was the funniest president that I ever saw, because he always had this humility to him. I was kind of lost with President Obama because people told me he was funny, but to me he was too self-aware. And of course Hillary couldn't have been more strident, And I think people don't vote on issues as much as they just vote on who they'd, like that old saw about who you'd rather have a beer with, And nobody wanted to have a beer with Hillary Clinton,
You say that that one person has to be humble to be funny, but I don't think Donald Trump is very humble, is he?
No, there's no humility to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is more funny in the way that a WWE wrestler is, So he has a different kind of funny, which is a sort of a self-deluded, I don't know if it's self-delusion though. I don't know if it's all, I think it's just all an act.
Let me ask you this. So your Bob Dole imitation was pretty famous back in the day. So would you do Donald Trump today? Would you do a Donald Trump imitation?
I try to not do comedy about Donald Trump because I think I had one joke about Donald Trump that I ever did where I said that Americans hated Hillary Clinton so much that they voted for someone they hated more than Hillary Clinton to rub it in. And that's the only time I ever made a joke about Trump. But I try to stay away from it because it's just, it's low-hanging fruit, and also, Trump oftentimes is doing self-parody, and nothing looks dumber than if you parody self-parody. You really get caught not understanding.
So comedy in the time of Trump, is it more difficult than it was when you were on Saturday Night Live?
It's more difficult in the time of Trump for good comedians, and it's way easier for bad comedians. You don't have a worldview by just saying you don't like Trump. You know what I mean? That doesn't count. Like you can't just say I hate Trump, and that makes you a good person. And the Democrats just can't say I hate Trump, and that means they have a position. That's no position. So for idiots, it's an easier time because you go, well, that guy's the idiot, not me. But if you try to do smart comedy, it's better to stay away from Trump.
Norm Macdonald, thanks so much for being with us today, for spending this time with us. It was great. Great to see you.
Great to see you. I love you, Joyce.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
The interesting thing is, at the end of as we near November, what usually happens is, all the people that know, they already figured out what they're going to do, right? Then the election's always close. Then they go, hey, we got to get those people that don't know shit to decide our election.